crib. I'd like to confirm a quote.
Getting around in 2 hours.
Will you come on deadline? How much money was involved? Was it over $1,000? Was it over $10,000?
Another blue ribbon lunch at McKenna's. They ought to have a nurse in attendance.
Rossi's redoing the bar fight story, and there's a loose horse on the freeway.
A real live horse?
It backed out of one of those trailers. A big, white, thoroughbred-type mare. It fell down, got up, and started running around in the traffic.
Did it get hit?
Not so far. We're waiting to hear.
I hope she makes
Now
it.
you tell me. That's real smart.
I don't need any lectures from you, big mouth, and I'm not going to put up with it. You understand?
Me names.
What are you going to do about it?
Are you kidding? Get at it. You're nuts.
Okay, gentlemen, fellas, you want to go to a neutral corner? What's that all about?
They're working on the bar fight story.
Well, Rossi finished that this morning.
Driscoll walked in 10 minutes ago with additional information. Seems that the suspect died in the cop car on the way to the hospital, not in the hospital as it was first reported. Police changed their story, so Rossi got mad.
I don't blame him.
Listen, don't you play editor with me. I won't take it, you understand?
You gave it to me in bits and pieces. You jerked me around.
I did not.
It's a different story now. I should have had that information right off the bat.
I didn't have it. I don't run the division. I gave you what I had. That kid is an arrogant idiot.
George, it's not good for you to get your neck swelled up.
I'm going to knock him on his butt.
I thought you knocked your retirement from the ring.
Lou, I give him everything I get right when I get it. I can't force the watch commander to release information. If he holds out on me, what can I do?
I know, George, I know.
Well, I'm not going to take any more guff from that cocky kid.
Wouldn't you let him upset you, boy? You know, it's not going to do you any good.
Lou, the man comes in 4 hours late with new material. He doesn't even phone. He walks it in. It changes the story we sent out, makes it look bad. I complain about it. He starts screaming. He's going crazy.
He's an older man, Rossi. He's got to be handled.
Good, Lou. You handle it.
Okay, thank you. Lou, I don't fault Rossi on this. Driscoll's been near the edge lately. He's fighting people's heads off. Phone operators, copy kids, rewrite men. He's giving it to everybody.
Is he drinking again?
I don't know.
Maybe it's menopause. Any news on a horse?
She just crossed the Soto Street off-ramp. She's still running ahead of the traffic.
Come on, baby.
And you saw the kid lower himself down from the roof? All right, would you hold on, please? Thank you. Rosenthal? Yeah. Eleanor Ardella, A-R-D-E-L-L-A, 14232 South Main. She's a neighbor. She heard a crash when the kid kicked in the window, and she saw him climb into the house. And she heard him hollering when the old man, that's Lester Williams, hit the suspect with a baseball bat. And she said, quote, I wasn't too surprised because I knew Mr. Williams used to play semi-pro ball, end quote. Yeah. Over the kids in Sloyan Hospital. Right. Mrs. Ardella, thank you very much. Yeah, well, tonight's edition, but I can't guarantee it. Bye-bye.
Place is as neat as a pin as usual.
Oh. Yeah, well, we're all ready for inspection. What's up?
Oh, I was just in the neighborhood. Thought I'd drop in on you.
Well, it's been so long since you're down here. It kind of surprises me that you were able to find me. You care to sit down?
Nah, don't bother.
Oh.
Thanks. George, anything I can do to make your life easier?
No.
Well, is there something bothering you that I should know about?
This is about that hassle in the city room today, isn't it?
Would you rather work with someone other than Rossi?
Oh. Well, yeah, but it's okay. He gave me a hard time, as usual, telling me how to do my job. That kid is too pushy for his own good. But it's okay. I've worked with worse.
Now, these young reporters don't have your experience, George. Every story's a big deal. Now, they're abrasive, but it's just kid stuff.
Yeah.
You just have to be patient.
Yeah.
Everything okay at home? You feeling all right?
What do you want, my vital signs?
Just checking. Let me know if there's anything.
Yeah.
Check these expenses. I think some of them are a bit fanciful.
Glad to.
Have either of you seen the west coast of Scotland?
Not lately.
A friend of mine is touring there now. Sent me this card. I was going with her, but had to cancel because of the labor negotiations. When I saw that, I got such a jolt of jealousy.
I don't know why you don't travel more often, Mrs. Pinchot.
Shop won't close without you.
Well, it has crossed my mind. Every time a friend says, well, I'm off to Kenya, or someone describes the summer in Scandinavia, and they paint, and they write, and they play golf, I envy them.
Maybe you should join them, at least for part of the year.
If that's what you like, why not?
Well, at first I thought that's impossible. I have a paper to run. But then I realized I could delegate work. Lord, it would probably be a blessing to the Tribune if I got out of their hair for a while. Well, I could dump this whole pile of work on someone and just fly down to Rio.
Sounds good to me.
If you hurry, you can make the carnival.
Well, I'd like to think it over. Make some arrangements. But an idea is born. Operation Vamoose is launched. I feel the rumblings.
I'll help any way I can.
No, don't come back in. Go straight to the cop house. I'll get you some relief by 6. Okay.
I got a bit of bad news.
Now what?
Our friend Driscoll's in the hospital.
You fell off the wagon again?
I suppose. His wife phone said George went in late last night.
I guess my little talk didn't go down too well. Damn.
Sure, it wasn't your fault. It's been building up to one.
Poor guy. I'll go by and see him tonight. Where is he?
Wilshire Memorial, room 1605. I sent Sweeney over to the cop house to cover. Lou, Driscoll's been on binges before, lots.
I know.
Every time it happens, you kick yourself. Why?
Because he's an old-timer. When he falls apart, I feel for him.
Yeah, I know you do.
I didn't sleep a bit last night.
Really?
Well, I did sleep. I always do. But it was one of those nights I thought I didn't.
What's the matter? Something bothering you?
Yes, something good. It was that conversation we had yesterday about my getting out of town.
Aha.
It got my mind perking. It wouldn't stop. I have an idea I want to try out on you.
Sure.
Morning, Julie.
Sure, let me get that for you.
What would you think about my inventing a job? Something above managing editor and below publisher.
I picture an office somewhere between the 4th and the 8th floors.
And the title on the door would be executive editor.
With what responsibility?
Someone to look ahead, to make long-range plans for the Tribune. Someone to prepare for changes in technology, acquisitions.
Adding personnel, writers, artists, department heads with new ideas.
Exactly. Someone to take over much of what I'm doing now and won't have energy for in the future. What do you think?
I think it's smart. Other papers have executives who do just that.
I'm glad it makes sense, Mr. Hume, because you're just the man to handle this. You know, I need someone with talent and vigor and foresight to be an executive editor. And I am turning to you, as usual.
I'm flattered.
Find me someone to fill that job.
I'll start looking right away.
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E.
Dr. Langtree, cardiology, Dr. Langtree.
Pardon me. Hi. I came to visit a friend, George Driscoll, in 1605. There's a do not disturb sign on the door.
Oh, just a moment.
Thank you.
That's correct. No visitors.
Well, I work with George at the Trib. I'd like to see him.
I'm sorry.
But you see, he's in here drying out. I've seen him before under these same conditions several times.
Would you like to talk to his doctor? It's, Schulman, and I have his number.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay. There's a payphone right over there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Dr. Schulman?
Yes?
This is Lou Grant. I work with George Driscoll at the Trib.
Yes, he's spoken of you. You're the city editor, right? His wife said you might call.
Well, I'm at the hospital. I came to visit George, and the nurses aren't admitting me. What's going on?
Could you hold on for a moment, please? Sarah, go to Mommy, huh? Come on.
Give her that for me.
Come on.
Dr. Tishman, Dr. Tishman.
Doctor?
I'm sorry, Mr. Grant, I couldn't talk.
So why can't I see George?
Because he doesn't wish to speak to anyone.
He never does. When he crashes, he's always ashamed, embarrassed. That's exactly why I should see him.
Except he wasn't drinking this time.
He wasn't? So what's wrong? Did he have a heart attack? Are you a cardiologist?
No, I'm a psychiatrist.
Doctor, exactly why is George in the hospital?
Because he tried to kill himself.
Well, sure, we want a nice guy, but the priority is talent. How old is he? Lou, hold it a second. No, young is fine. We want young. It's got to be a guy with his head in the future, a guy that understands the technology. Yeah? Send me a resume. Thanks. What I want to ask you?
You wanted to ask about Driscoll?
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. How is he?
Well, physically, he's okay. He was never in that much danger because they got him pumped out in time. But mentally, emotionally...
Poor guy. Pain he must have felt to do that. Have you seen him?
No, he won't see me, his wife, or anybody. He slammed the door.
I'll call Elizabeth and see if there's anything I can do. I remember.
Yeah?
Would you call Minneapolis for me?
Sure. Who? What for?
There's a young guy in the Star that's supposed to be outstanding. I want you to call one of your Midwest buddies and get me an opinion. Name is... Let me just see it. Here, Tomlinson, Gerald Tomlinson.
What's this all about?
For that position Mrs. Pinchon wants to create, executive editor. Got to get her a real hotshot.
Why is she going off the paper to fill that job?
Because there's no one on the Tribune. No one that I know of, anyway. Unless you want it.
No, thanks. What about Charlie Hume?
What about him?
I think he's good. Intelligent, well-informed, nice dresser.
She wants somebody younger, somebody more dynamic.
Did you suggest yourself?
No, would you call Minneapolis?
Is what she's doing all right with you?
Whatever Mrs. Pinchon wants, she should have.
Okay.
I'm crossing Pershing Square, and this guy stops in front of me, blocks my way. "How are you, Ted?" he says. I look at him, and I'm thinking, who is this nut?
It's a panhandler, right? One of them knows me, too. Don't ask me how. He says, "Lou, loan me a quarter." It's hard to turn down a bum who's on a first-name basis.
It sure is.
Millie, my dear, may we have the check?
How's Driscoll? Has anybody been able to see him?
No.
Still in the hospital?
Yeah, but he won't take calls. Won't even see his wife.
Oh, what's the matter with him?
His doctor says depression. Severe depression.
That's too bad.
What a waste. He's an excellent reporter.
Yeah, but he's used up. This business will do it. Every few years, we should all go away and play horseshoes.
You think it's burnout?
Well, sure. It's what we do every day. George sits over there in that cop house and they're dragging in drunks and rapists and child murderers. He sees enough every day to kill you.
It's like watching a night full of prime time.
Too many victims. Too much bad news.
Yeah, but Driscoll's been on the mat before. Maybe he just needs a rest.
Well, let's hope he comes back.
Why do you say that? Don't you think he will?
Well, sure. Why not? Well, Millie never does bring the check. Here, mine's about $5.
Does that include a 25-cent tip?
And the tax.
She found an apartment. She's moving in today.
Well, when she gets settled, have her give me a call.
Another woman reporter? They're going to crowd us right out of the newsroom. I'm kidding.
Lorraine is highly qualified. You'll see when you read her clips.
Well, the job market is pretty tight right now. I know we're not looking for anybody, but then again, we never are.
What about the cop house?
What's open?
Driscoll spot.
Lorraine would be sensational in that job.
Sensational isn't necessary. It's just a cop house.
Maybe she can make something of it.
If you're talking about Driscoll's job, it's still Driscoll's. He's in the hospital, but he's coming back.
It's too bad. We could do better than what we have over there now. Alcohol and senility don't mix.
No, I don't have it, sorry. Fine, no, can't do that, no, sorry.
Hello! Hello! Hey, Lou! What's the matter?
Oh, I thought you were some panhandler.
Oh, hey, where's Ted and Dexter? Weren't you having lunch together?
We did, but they went off chasing leads, or at least that's what they said they were chasing.
Hey, we got lucky. The guy I had at the top of the list for executive editor, #1 pick, he's available and he's interested.
Yeah? Who is he?
Hank Doherty works on the Denver Journal. He really checks out. One of those names that keeps popping up. Too bad you can't get Hank Doherty. Why can't I get him? He's happy on the Journal. How happy is he? I called him. He says, let's talk.
What's so special about him?
First of all, he's young.
Well, that does it for me. Hire him.
He's not only young, he's well qualified. He's a lawyer, 11 years in journalism. He was involved in rebuilding 3 newspapers, all of which are now healthy. He is a talented, innovative administrator.
Innovative, huh? That scares me. Makes me reach for the job opportunities section.
Never mind, he's also well-liked. He's coming out to meet Mrs. Pinchon, spend a couple of days. He'll look us over, we'll look him over.
Uh-huh. I'm going to drop the 3rd graph and hold on to the 4th because that's where you wrapped the story up.
All right, I gave you more than you need.
It's a pleasure to read something that you don't have to touch up. It's nice writing, Ted.
Yeah, well, after 30 years, you should start to get the hang of it. You changed your mind. You hate it.
You got a minute?
Sure.
It's about Driscoll.
Yeah?
You were quiet at lunch today, and I thought you had something to say. What's going on with George? Do you know?
Well, I hate to be flip about these things. Poor guy tries to knock himself off. It's easy to say he's a drunk, a burnout. I don't like that.
I know what you mean.
George and I were on the Hartford Current together in the early 50s. He was a bright, good-looking guy in those days. He'd been in the Air Force. Kind of a hero. Came back with the DFC. At any rate, he had it all. Smart, lots of personality, and he could really knock out the work. Married a beautiful Hartford girl, and if he'd stayed there, he'd have been set for life. But George was ambitious. He took off for New York. Now, we all thought he would end up as managing editor of the Herald Tribune.
What happened there?
I don't know. Next time I saw him was here at the Trib. He was out of shape, alcoholic, still a reporter.
Must have been a shock when you saw him.
No, I couldn't believe my eyes. And it's not so unusual. Life doesn't work out exactly as we hope for a lot of us.
Yeah. We have more information on the guy who died in the police car. You know the thing Driscoll was working on? It seems that the 2 police officers weren't agreeing on their stories, and then suddenly they got together and began singing in harmony. I think we can keep running with this. What do you think, Charlie? The bar fight story?
We're still holding on to that. I'm bored with it. What else?
Some more debate on the peripheral canal. A study claims that the cost to the California homeowner will be greater than expected.
Who prepared the study?
An environmental group, Citizens to Stop the Peripheral. They argue that principal benefits will be to agribusiness.
How many more stories on the canal can our readers take? I'm canaled out. What else we got?
Well, just to argue a bit for the story, we've got the referendum coming up next year. We could run the report and balance it next week with opposing arguments.
I'm really not interested in any more stories on the canal. Pro, con, or down the middle. Pass. National.
Charlie, if you want to drop this, drop it. I suggest you read the report.
National.
Charlie, let me just say before I start, the report is worth reading.
What are you guys trying to do? Shove this story down my throat?
No, Charlie, if you don't want it, that's it.
Then why do I have a fight on my hands? You guys getting together before the meeting?
Certainly not.
Run the story. I don't care. You wanted that badly. Run it. I don't give a damn.
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E. A&E returns to Lou Grant.
Watch Commander told me you know him better than the other officers.
He means better than the younger officers. I hear George took a bunch of pills.
That's right. I wonder why. Been working with a guy for almost 4 years now. I guess I never got to know him.
Yeah, it's the same around here. You never see the people in the other departments.
He's a private sort of guy. Never lets anyone in.
We like him because he has some idea of what our job is. A lot of the press is out to nail us, looking for brutality, corruption. They have to find something dirty they can print.
Did you notice anything different about George lately? Have you seen a change in him? Are you aware of anything that might have hurt him or frustrated him?
No, I didn't notice anything. I talk to him every day. Last time I saw him, he told me the story about the old guy who chased a burglar with a baseball bat.
What was the last story he handled?
I don't think any one thing got to him. People change slow. So slow, sometimes you don't even notice. Like the young cop who comes on the force thinking he'll do good. He's going to treat people decently, make the city safe. The rottenness never stops. And gradually, he turns sour.
George loved reporting. He loved the police beat. That's not an easy job. It's tough to get a cop to talk these days.
We're told not to.
Somebody got knocked off, George would have come with a name first.
You know, maybe he didn't care all that much for the news business. Oh, I know he was good at it, but could have still hated it.
I guess.
Have you talked to Elizabeth?
His wife?
No, I haven't. She's the best part of his life. At least that's what he told me. Maybe you ought to drop by and see her.
I think you've done some attractive things with the Tribune in the past 3 years. I've been aware of each move because I've always been interested in your newspaper.
Why, Mr. Doherty?
Because it's situated in Los Angeles, which to me is the future. The Tribune could be a world beater. It isn't yet. If I'm making a mistake by being frank, I'm sorry, but I feel it's appropriate.
We want you to be honest. What do you think is wrong with the Tribune, and how would you change it?
Your new sections. Today, Tempo, Horizon, they're good, but they're not enough. I can think of 3 new sections you should initiate in the next 18 months. I would enlarge the staff and size of your business section and do complete workover of sports. They're both 1/2 of what they should be. And your graphics and typography are a long way from being up to date.
We did have plans to make changes, but we're moving carefully.
Don't move too carefully. The competition could come up with a bold, eye-catching design and leave you in the dust. I don't think you should be satisfied with being second place in the city. There's nothing wrong with being first.
Yes. Well, I'm interested to see your design concepts. Mr. Hume, do you have any questions for Mr. Doherty?
No. I would like to see what he suggests in the way of graphics in the new section.
Well, excuse myself. I'm sure you want to talk in private.
Oh, that won't be necessary, Mr. Doherty. So far, Mrs. Pinchon, everything he says makes a great deal of sense. I think he should be invited back tomorrow to dazzle us some more.
Well, Mr. Doherty, you have just received a rave review from a very tough critic. You have made the semifinals.
That was taken in New York for the newspaper. I felt lucky to get it, because he never wanted to pose.
He's put on a pound or two, but then haven't we all?
You know, in college, George had the nickname Stick. Can you believe it? He was actually skinny.
Where'd he go to school?
Rutledge. That's a small college near Hartford. It's a good school, but George didn't like it.
Why was that?
Well, he'd been accepted to Harvard.
Oh.
Then his father lost his money in the stock market, and George had to go to Rutledge.
His family had money?
When he was young, they did. You know, his mother adored George, but his father was cold. He was one of the old school. Nothing his son did was good enough.
Forgive me for asking so many questions, but I'm trying to figure out why in the world George did this.
So am I, Mr. Grant.
There's a part of his life that none of us at the Tribune knows anything about, and that's the New York part. What happened in New York?
Well, a lot of good things. George got a job on the Herald Tribune, and he was doing very well. Lots of people told me that he was one of the best of the younger men. And we had our darling Amanda, lots of swell friends. George was working with people that he liked and respected. Most of them, anyway. Oh, once in a while, he had a problem with his temper, get into a fight with an editor, come home with a headache. George never learned to hide his feelings. Men with much less on the ball were moving ahead, becoming editors and correcting his copy.
Was that a big hang-up? That he never made editor?
Well, he always wanted to please his father, who didn't think much of his being a reporter. I think maybe George figured that if he made editor...
I never knew he cared about that.
And then there was the robbery.
What robbery?
Can I get you some more coffee?
No, thanks.
Well, one night, when our daughter was very young, 2 men broke into our apartment. 2 men with guns. They pushed George around and they took what we had, which wasn't much. Even a silver teething ring of Amanda's.
That must have been rough.
For a while, George thought that he could catch the burglars. He used to go down to the police station and harangue the officers. That was the start of his special interest in crime and the police. It was also the start of his serious drinking.
Mm-hmm. Have you been able to see him at the hospital?
He let me visit him last night for the first time.
Now, this is Amanda.
That's our girl. She teaches at UCLA.
You must be very proud of her.
Oh, yes, we are.
Well, I guess I better get back to work. I'm sorry to have taken so much of your time.
That's all right. I appreciate your concern for George. It's very kind.
He's a good man. I don't want to lose him.
Neither do I.
Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Billy. Sit down.
Thanks.
What's doing?
I hope I'm not bothering you. I looked all over the building. Nobody knew where you were.
I just needed a little private time. Wanted to meditate over a glass of scotch.
Oh, Animal had some art to show you. Did he find you?
No, you did. What is it?
It's my illiteracy story. We wanted you to see it before we shipped it. It's for the Sunday edition, but it has to go in tonight.
Oh, yeah. So, what did you find out about illiterates?
That there are a great many of them. Perhaps 200,000 adults in Los Angeles have not learned to read.
The night school classes must be popping.
They are.
I don't feel like going through it.
Well, Charlie, if you don't read it now, it won't make the Sunday edition.
Sure it will. Go with it.
Dr. Poe, first floor emergency. Dr. Poe.
George, get out of here. Go and get out of here. Leave me alone, damn it! Leave me alone!
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E.
Your mother says that you teach at UCLA. What's the subject?
English lit?
Literature, huh? You get that from your father.
I do, in fact. I don't know how much these things are inherited, but he was extremely helpful to me when I was little. Thank you. He always read aloud to me, discussed the books I was reading, got me hooked on the crossword puzzle, rationed the TV.
So you were close?
For a while. As I got older, he became unreasonably demanding, I thought.
He sounds a lot like his own father, or what your mother was telling me.
That's right. He could never please Grandpa. Eventually it drove a wedge between them. When Grandpa died, he didn't go to the funeral.
Your mother said that you were robbed at gunpoint when you were in New York. You must have been quite small at the time. Do you remember that?
Not really. But sometimes when he was drinking, he'd talk about it. He looked upon it as a huge defeat. He felt he should have attacked the burglars, taken their guns, done something.
If he'd done something foolish like that, they might have killed him.
Of course.
And his last story was about a man in a similar situation who fought back. Now George is in the hospital. You think that has anything to do with it?
Maybe part of it.
What else is there?
You know, I really haven't seen my father in some time.
Why is that?
I had to stay away from him for my own good.
I want to try to see him again tonight. You want to come with me?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like I'm prying, so you tell me to butt out anytime you want to, okay? How are he and your mother getting along?
Well, he's not an easy man to love anymore. And, it's been hard on him, too.
What way?
There are two sides to every story. There are, wheels within wheels. At least that's what I tell my students.
But she stuck by him all these years.
They've separated more than once.
Amanda, tell me this. Is there somebody else in the wings?
Yes. Has been for some time now.
You think she'll leave your father?
She won't leave. He's in trouble, so she'll stay. No matter how bad it is for both of them.
This is Lou Grant. Did Elizabeth Driscoll tell you that I would call?
Yes, she did, and she gave me permission to talk to you about George. I can, but only to a point.
Is there anything I can do?
Mr. Grant, would you like to have him back at work?
Of course, I love that.
You could let him know that.
You think he's ready?
It would be better for him than lying in that hospital. If he could get back in action, that would help. What he needs most of all right now are his friends.
I'm not sure I'd have much luck persuading him. All he seems to want to do lately is scream and holler at me.
What are friends for?
Rossi, would you mind going over these expenses once more? I think your arithmetic is a bit off.
You sure?
Just a decimal point in your favor, that's all. It's really kind of insulting.
think the numbers are right, Charlie.
Check them. Billy, review these expenses, please.
Uh-oh, I've been found out.
Some of them the Tribune should pay, some of them you should pay, okay?
The beauty parlor was a mistake, right?
It's a grand old game. Nick the newspaper.
I'm sorry, Charlie. I think these are legitimate.
Not in my judgment.
Charlie, if you're worried about those missing paper clips, I've been using 2 for bookmarks.
It's more than paper clips.
I guess it is. What's the matter?
We're not throwing money away on phony lunches and drinks at the Biltmore.
If they pick up a tab, it's always newspaper business. They're both so straight it worries me. Sometimes I think they lack imagination.
We pay Tribune expenses, and that's all.
Okay.
Now, tomorrow morning at 10, we're having a meeting with Mrs. Pinchon and Doherty. He's going to summarize his presentation. Mrs. Pinchon wants you there.
Why?
She wants to hear from us.
What's your opinion, Charlie?
So far, it's favorable.
If you weren't completely sold on this guy, would you say so?
Of course.
It's a big decision, putting someone in a spot like that. We have to be very careful. We're down to the wire. We should say what we feel.
Okay. Don't be late.
That I am. Everything okay with you, Charlie?
It is.
You want to talk about it?
What are you, the camp counselor? Go back to your tent.
Charlie, what is it?
Lou, why don't you stick your nose in your work where it belongs? Back off, or I'll really unload on you.
Why are you picking on me, Charlie? I'm not the one you saw at.
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E.
Good evening, George.
Where's Elizabeth?
She went for coffee.
Well, you go with her. You get out of here.
You want a shot at me? Go ahead.
I said get out.
I mean it. Scream, holler, throw a bedpan. Do anything you want. I'm not leaving. I'm one of those insensitive slobs who just doesn't care.
What do you want?
I want you to come back to work.
You're nuts.
Of course. I'm a city editor. Come on, George. I want you back at your job.
That's impossible.
Monday would be good. Come on, George. I need your help.
You're crazy. I can't work. I can't think. I can't sleep. I can't do anything.
That goes for half the staff. George, stop making excuses. I'm in trouble. Nobody else wants your job. You're the only guy I can find to do it.
Look, you idiot. Don't you have the sensitivity that God gave a rock? I'm asking you to leave me alone. I don't need your job. I don't need your two-bit psychology. I don't need you. I'm telling you, leave me alone. Get out of here. Just get out.
There's somebody else here who wants to see you, George.
Hi, Dad. Do you know who this is? It's your long-lost daughter, who should have come to see you a long time ago. Just stubborn, I guess. I don't know where I got it. Are you okay? You sounded pretty strong a minute ago. Can I get a little hello out of you? It's nice to see you, Daddy. I hear you're going back to work. Sounds pretty good. Hey, I have an invitation for you. How would you like to come out and stay with me at the beach for a while? Give us a chance to talk it over. And, give Mother some room. Maybe we should let Mother be for a while. Let her go, Daddy. It might be the best thing for both of you. And you're not alone. Not anymore. You have me. Right? Daddy. How about a nice little hello, Amanda?
Hi, baby.
Well, Mrs. Pynchon, I believe I had better shut up because I've told you everything I know.
It was a brilliant presentation, Mr. Doherty.
Thank you. I'll leave these worksheets with you. You'll probably want to look them over.
Good. It was marvelous to meet you. Extremely stimulating.
Thank you, Mrs. Pynchon. I hope you'll allow me to continue to be helpful. Mr. Hume.
I'll see you.
Mr. Grant.
Hank.
Well, what do you think?
No doubt he's knowledgeable. He's good. I mean, he definitely knows his stuff.
Pardon me for interrupting, Charlie. I think he's better than good. He's terrific. I don't know how Charlie dug him up, but he's to be congratulated.
Be more specific, Mr. Grant.
What I like best about him is his youth. He has fresh concepts and the vitality to carry them through. That's what the Tribune needs around here. Someone who can make us move ahead fast.
Do you agree, Mr. Hume?
I like him. I liked his presentation. A lot of those things...
Pardon me, Charlie. The guy is dynamite. I thought his designs jumped off the page.
Would you mind letting me finish? Lou, I've tried twice now to answer
We need a gutty young guy around here who could put some life to this.
Will you shut up?
Huh?
Miss Pynchon, it takes more than youth to guide a newspaper. You have to know the people you're serving. It takes talent, it takes taste, it takes a sense of responsibility.
Don't you think Doherty's got that? I think he's a winner.
So does he. But leadership takes seasoning. You've got to go through some reverses. It takes the tempering of a few campaigns.
I thought you liked his ideas.
Oh, his ideas are fine. But not one of them is new. I mean, there is not one of them I haven't laid across this desk before.
Well, you've never pushed them.
Time wasn't ripe. We have to change the Tribune gradually or we'll alienate our readers. We don't want to throw a whole new newspaper across their doorsteps. We'll lose them.
Aren't you quibbling about the pace? How fast we'll implement his suggestions?
No, Mrs. Pynchon, I am not. And some of his suggestions are bad. I mean, double business, double sports. That's ridiculous. We don't sell enough ads to justify that.
Well, now I'm really confused. I'd hoped to lay off some responsibility. If Hank Doherty is not the answer, who is?
That's right, Charlie. Where's the Tribune going to get an executive editor?
Right here on its own staff.
I'm not available.
Not you.
Who, then?
Me.
I never thought you wanted the job.
Why did you think that? Good old Charlie doesn't want any real responsibility. I'll tell you something. I resent your passing me up.
I can see that.
I'll tell you something else. Either I get that job or you get a new managing editor.
Wow. That changes things, doesn't it?
Matter of fact, I've been doing the job that you're thinking of creating all along. You can hand out the title if you want. I already have the responsibility.
You've made your point, Mr. Hume. You should have made it earlier.
You're right. I should have.
I have something to think about. It's been quite a meeting, hasn't it? Well, I guess that's all. certainly enough. You know, Mr. Hume, you're not the only one whose feelings are hurt. When this first came up, and I said that my traveling might be a blessing to the Tribune to get me out of your hair, you didn't argue with me. You should have jumped all over me when I said that.
You're right.
Yeah, that was kind of a dumb idea, Mrs. Pynchon.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
They were one of America's richest families. Wealth and Power Week continues with the extraordinary lives of the Rockefellers on Biography tonight. Now, a pair of shotgun-toting robbers are on the loose. Cops stake out 20 banks to catch them in the act on Police Story, next on A&E.